The biggest mistake I made when I started the gym was believing that the reason I wasn't seeing results from my workouts was because I wasn't doing enough. No, it was actually because I didn't have an effective workout plan and your girl was really doing too much. Well, today we're gonna head to the gym and I'm gonna take you through my entire quads and glutes workout. Trust me, you are gonna be leaving that gym like Quadzilla. This workout is part of my 5-day workout split series and it's actually the workout split that I currently do right now. But I'm not gonna lie to you, this workout is actually the hardest workout in the entire 5 days. And every single time I do it, without fail, I'm feeling it the next day. So take this as your warning. You might want to schedule the rest day tomorrow, I know I am. And make sure you subscribe because next week I'm taking you through a full week of workouts to help you build muscle and we can all become muscle mummies together. So, subscribe. But for now, let's go train legs. Okay, first exercise. Before you go yelling at me saying this isn't a glute exercise or a quad exercise, the reason we're starting off the workout with seated leg curl is to pre-fatigue the hamstrings. This is a technique that I sometimes like to use because I'm quite hamstring dominant, so when I do exercises that are specifically for the glutes, my hamstrings tend to jump in, which is not ideal. Warming up the hamstrings like this before we go into our main lifts can also really help reduce the risk of injury and stabilize the knee joint during movements like squats and lunges, which will come, do not worry. Unlike lying leg curl, seated variation keeps your hips flexed, allowing for a greater stretch and a bigger range of motion. For this reason, I do prefer the seated leg curl, but if you don't have one available to you, then lying leg curl is also a good option. Adjust the seat and set the leg pad just above your ankles. You want to put the thigh pad down as tight as you can so that your legs aren't moving around as you try and lift. Grab the handles to keep yourself stable, and I like to lean forwards a bit. This is going to increase hip flexion and will also make the movement a bit harder. A good way to know that your legs are in the right position is if your knees are in line with the pivot on the machine. Push the pad down by bending your knees and squeezing your hamstrings. I like to add in a little pause at the bottom as well. Slowly control the weight back up to the starting position and avoid letting the weight touch the stack between reps, because that's going to keep more of the tension on your hamstrings the whole time, which is what we want. Now your hamstrings should be nice and warmed up. We're moving into our first quad focus exercise, which is the hack squat. Before we add any weight, we're just going to do a quick warm-up set of like 6 to 8 reps. The reason we don't just go straight into it with the heaviest weight on there is so that we're getting our body used to that movement so that we can have a better mind to muscle connection when we go to add the weight on. When we're doing hack squat, you can shift the focus onto either your quads or your glutes more depending on your foot placement. So if your feet are higher and wider on a platform, that's going to target your glutes more, and if you've got a closer stance, then that's going to target your quads more. This time we want to focus on the quads, so we're going to have our feet about hip width apart with your toes facing either straight ahead or slightly outwards depending on what's most comfortable for you. The hack squat is also a more stable form of squat than your traditional back squat, so a lot of people find that they're able to push more weight on this exercise as well as going closer to failure because you're not so scared of like dropping the barbell or something like that. So you want to brace your core, lean back into the pad and unrack the machine by twisting the handles outwards and pushing through your heels. Lower yourself with control by bending your knees and keep your back flat against the pad. There is a temptation for your lower back to start coming off when you're near the bottom of the movement, so if you find that's happening to you, then just don't go as low as that point. Stop before your lower back starts coming off the pad. In terms of range of motion, we want to aim to get our knees about 90 degrees or below if your mobility allows for it. Another thing to look out for that I've noticed more with the hack squat than other forms of squat is your knees caving in. So as you lower yourself down, I want you to consciously think about keeping your knees outwards in line like over your toes. We want lots of power on the way up as you drive through your heels and your midfoot, and stop just before locking out your knees so that you're keeping that tension on your legs. We're going to take the last set of this exercise to failure, and the first time you do it, it is pretty scary, but hack squat I feel like is one of the safest machines to fail on because you literally just sit there at the bottom and then crawl out. But yeah, once you've done it once, it gets better, I promise, and the quad burn is insane. Okay, now we're moving on to one of the most intense lower body exercises to ever have been invented, the Bulgarian split squat. So grab yourself a box or a bench and let's get ready to suffer. I always take my shoes off for this exercise because I find it easier to push through my entire foot and it keeps me more stable. If you have shoes with flat soles, then you should be okay, but if you don't have flat soles, then I definitely recommend taking them off because it's going to improve your stability and reduce your risk of injury. I used to use a bench for Bulgarian split squats, but recently I found that using a lower box actually helped me engage my glutes more and shifted some of the focus off of my lower back. Similar to hack squat, you can bias the quads or the glutes more in Bulgarian split squats by varying your stance. So keeping your torso in a more upright position is going to target your quads more, and having a forward lean, just a slight forward lean at the waist, is going to help you target your glutes more. Today in this workout specifically, I want you to focus on that glute bias variation. So have that slight lean forwards and think about squeezing your glutes on the way up. To find the right position for your front foot, here's a little hack you can use. So sit on the box of the bench and straighten out both legs. Keeping your working leg on that point on the floor, stand up and get into your lunge position. Using this setup method will get most people in the right position for their Bulgarian split squats, but it will also depend on the length of your legs and your levers and things like that. So play around with it. If it works for you, that's awesome, but if it doesn't, then find the distance from the box that allows you to stay most stable while engaging your glutes most. From the top position, lower down slowly by dropping your back knee towards the floor and keeping your chest up and your core tight. When you're pushing up from the bottom, think about driving through your entire foot with a small emphasis on your heel. You want that front leg to be doing the majority of the work because this is your working leg, and then your back leg is mainly only there for stability. One thing I find that also helps me to stay stable is choosing a fixed point on the floor to keep my gaze on the entire time. And once you finished one leg, you get to do the other leg! Yay! And we're just going to do 2 sets of this, so it's not too intense, but yeah, no, I lied, it's still really intense. Next, just in case your legs weren't shaking by the end of those Bulgarian split squats, we're going to be doing walking lunges. Now, I'm using a sandbag here. I think it's called a power bag, but you can also use a barbell or 2 dumbbells by your sides if you don't have this available. Walking lunges are a great way to build lower body strength, core stability, and endurance. We're going to be doing 15 to 20 reps, so choose a weight that challenges you but still allows you to use good form. To get the bag up, you want to use a lot of leg drive, sort of thrust it with your hips and sling it over one shoulder. It does take a few tries and a bit of practice, so I'd recommend picking a lighter bag first if you've never done this before. Try out the movement, just try out getting it into that position on your upper back, and then when you're comfortable with that, then you can up the weight. Each step counts as 1 rep, so you would go 1, 2, 3 and count your reps like that. The main mistake I see with this one is treating walking lunges like you're walking a tightrope. This is going to make you really unstable, so instead of doing that, keep your legs at about hip width apart the entire time, and instead of trying to walk the tightrope, think about stepping either side of it as you lunge. When you're in your lowest position, your back knee should hover just above ground level, so don't slam it into the ground. And when you're pushing up, drive through your front foot, engaging your glutes and your quads, and then bring your back leg forward into the next lunge. When you reach the end of your set, if you're using the power bag, you can just stand up and drop it. I was so confused about what to do when I got to the end when I first did this exercise, but you can drop it, you'll be fine. Next is an isolation exercise for the quads, and it's really going to burn, is leg extension. Adjust the seat so your knees are in line with the pivot on the machine, and set the foot pad just above your ankles. You can grab the handles at the sides for stability, or if you're like me, I actually find I can generate more force if I just grab onto the bottom side of the seat itself. And throughout the exercise, I really want you to pull yourself into the seat. Engage your core and extend your legs until they're almost straight, but don't lock your knees out. You want a little pause at the top and squeeze your quads as hard as you can for like a second or so, and then lower the weight back down slowly with control, and don't let the weight touch the stack when you're at the bottom of the movement. One of the biggest mistakes I see with this exercise is using too much momentum, so make sure you're choosing a weight that allows you to lift it with control the whole time. I want you to give it everything you've got for this last set, because now we're finished the workout. You're definitely going to be feeling this one the next day, so make sure you get home, refuel, rest, get some good sleep, and next time we're hitting upper body. So love you so much, and I'll see you there.